Hi, let's see how we can rotate layers or groups in Photoshop. The best way to go about it is to use Ctrl-T. To rotate any element, you have to move your cursor away from the group until your arrow changes to this symbol. Please don't confuse it with this one, which allows you to resize the card. Though both cursors have two arrows, they do different things. OK, now you click and hold, and as you move side to side, you can see the element's angle show up in this rectangle. In most cases, you'll need something specific, like 45 degrees. You never want to fiddle with it on the canvas because we have a better way. Focus on the options bar. This is the box that controls the angle, and you can tell by looking at this icon. Select the existing value and delete it with the backspace key. Now put in 45 degrees or whatever value you want. Hit Enter, though I prefer to use Tab, and you're done with it. You can also use negative values, so the sky's the limit. Not all projects require this level of precision, so from time to time you may want to work on the canvas directly. Here's the thing you have to be aware of. We're still in free transform mode, right? We know that in order to rotate our element, the cursor has to be placed outside it. As you can see, if I hover over it, I get another symbol, and if I click and drag, I'm repositioning the entire thing. So I'll move outside it, and we can see these two arrows that allow us to perform the rotation. But here's the twist, starting with Photoshop CC 2019. If I move too far away from the item, I'll lose it. The cursor is going to change to a simple arrow. Let me move back and forth so you can see the change. Notice the cursor? Thus, in case you're not getting the correct symbol, you need to hover closer to your layer. We saw this behavior in a previous lecture where we got a list of transformation modes when we right-clicked close to the item, but as we strayed away, the list no longer showed up. It's the same thing here. Closely related to this topic, when in free transform mode, if you want to commit your changes, you have various options. You have the standard Enter key, which is pretty obvious. You can use the checkmark from the options bar. But you can also right or left click anywhere else on the canvas as long as you're outside that specific rotating range. If I move further away and I click, I'll commit to this change. Otherwise put, I'll exit free transform mode. Let me know in the comments section if you like this change. If you're using an older Photoshop version, this doesn't apply to you, but I'd still love to know your input. Back to the topic of rotating an element. When you perform this action, you can imagine there's a nail placed in the middle of it and thus the entire thing moves around it. Let me reset and show you another way to work. Say I want to move that imaginary nail in the top left side so the entire thing can be rotated from that point. To do that, enter free transform mode and focus on the options bar. Though this part seems disabled, you can actually check this box that will reveal that imaginary nail. This is needed only in Photoshop CC 2019 and above. Now it's much more obvious what I'm talking about. The item rotates based on its position. But of course we can change it. To discard your current transformation, just press Escape. Hit Ctrl-T again, only this time let's check the top left side of this grid. I know it's really tiny, but when you successfully move your so-called nail, you'll see that tiny square light up. Right, now let's rotate it on the canvas. As you can see, it's a totally different experience. Though we won't use this technique too often, it's important you know about it. And if that tiny grid isn't doing it for you, you can always move the nail directly from the canvas. Hold down the Alt key, and your cursor is going to get an additional symbol. Again, it's very small. Let me toggle back and forth so you can see it better. As long as you hold down the Alt key, you're going to be able to click anywhere inside the element and reposition the reference point location, which is the official name. I like to call it the nail because it's a good metaphor that best describes how it works. As you can see, with each click, I'm relocating it, all while holding down Alt. The reference point has always been shown in all versions of Photoshop up until CC 2019. In case you always want to see it without having to check that box in the options bar, here's what you need to do. Open your preferences with Ctrl-K. Alternatively, you can go to Edit, Preferences. From this list, choose Tools. From the left column, you're looking to enable the last option, Show Reference Point when using Transform. This should be enabled at this point if you've been following along. Still, it's good to know where you can find it. And that's how you rotate layers or groups in Photoshop. Have fun!